All right, so we're back and ready for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at some real English learning in action.
Oh,
We've got these they're actually Eugenia's English class notes from a session she had with her teacher, Paulo.
okay.
It's dated March 26th, 2025. So pretty recent stuff. And we're going to kind of be walking through these notes with you, pointing out some of the things that we thought were really useful and that you might find helpful for your own English learning journey.
That sounds good, yeah. The notes are really, I mean, they focus on, they're like the ABCs of English.
Hmm.
You know, you need to know how to pronounce words, how to use grammar properly, and how to write well to express yourself.
Absolutely.
And if you can master these basic concepts, you'll not only sound better, but you'll also feel more confident when you speak and write in English.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump right into it. And we're going to start with a section here called pronunciation guidance.
Great?
And, it's not just about sounding perfect. Who really sounds perfect?
Right.
But clear pronunciation is super important for making sure people understand what you're trying to say, getting your message across smoothly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So in Eugenia's notes, there's a section called past class with some words that Paula went over with her. And the first one is used. So let's say that together, used.
Use.
Now, do you notice that little ood sound at the end?
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle, but it's there. And if you leave that out, it can actually sometimes change the meaning. Like think about I used to play versus I use a computer.
Yeah, you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because in English, those final sounds often act like little signposts.
Yeah.
And that specifically often indicates that something happened in the past. So even if you pronounce it very subtly, it helps listeners understand the timing of your message.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a small detail, but it just adds so much clarity to your English.
Yeah, it's those little details that really, really make a difference. Okay, so the next word we have is called. Let's say that together, called.
Called.
Again, that did sound at the end is important. It tells us about something that happened before. All right, now let's look at insult. Insult, you hear how the first part in is a bit stronger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call stress, where you put the emphasis on the word. And if you put the stress on the second part, insult, it actually becomes a verb, meaning to say something rude to someone. So, where you put that emphasis really matters.
Yeah, it's a great example of how stress can completely change the meaning of a word in English, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like having two different words spelled the same but pronounced differently.
Right.
So, yeah, being aware of these stress patterns is crucial for both speaking and understanding English.
Totally. Okay, up next is certain. Certain. So again, the stress is on the first part of the word. And listen to that middle part, that tain sound. Sometimes it can sound a bit like tin or even turn. It all depends. Because that I sound, it can be a bit tricky, right? It's not always a clear I like and say.
Yeah, well, the vowel sound in certain often reduces to what we call a schwa sound. It's like this very short, unstressed sound, kind of like the a in about.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the most common sounds in English, and getting comfortable with it really helps your pronunciation sound more natural.
That's interesting. Okay, now we have honorable. Honorable. Did you catch that? The H is silent.
Right.
So we go straight to that O sound. And of course, the stress is on that first part, honorable. Next, we have emperor. Emperor. Again, the first syllable is the strongest. Now, here are two words that people often mix up. Were and where. So were, say it were. It has kind of a softer sound, almost like were.
Mm-hmm.
And then where, say that, where. You kind of have to open your mouth a little bit more for that air sound, like you're asking a question about a place.
Yeah. And that subtle shift in the vowel sound really distinguishes the two. Like were often uses that relaxed schwa sound that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
While where has a more distinct diphthong, like a combination of two vowel sounds.
Yeah.
And paying attention to like how your mouth feels when you say these words can really help you distinguish them.
Absolutely. And then finally, in the past class examples, we have a couple of phrases. First up is meeting and greeting. So just tried to say that clearly. Meeting and greeting. Pronounce each word distinctly. And then we have nitty and gritty. Say that. Nitty and gritty. This is a fun one because it's what we call an idiom. And an idiom means it has a meaning beyond the individual words. So nitty and gritty refers to those really important details or the fundamental aspects of something. And again, you want to pronounce each part of that clearly so that the listener understands that you're using an expression and not just random words.
Yeah. Idioms like that add so much So much color to English, I think. But you're right, like pronouncing each word well helps make sure that people understand that you're using an expression.
Totally, yeah. So let's move on to Eugenia's current class pronunciation examples, and we're starting with another pair that can be tricky. Had and have. So had, say it had. It has that short A sound like in cat.
Right.
And have, say it have, slightly longer A sound for many speakers, almost like have. So it's a very subtle difference in the length of that vowel.
Mm-hmm. But that difference in vowel length,
Yeah.
even if it's small, it's something that native speakers will definitely pick up on. So practicing those pairs can really help your mouth get used to making those little adjustments.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next word is did, short A sound like in bit, and then we have respectively. Say it, respectively. So you notice how the emphasis is on the second syllable spect?
Mm-hmm.
It's a longer word, so getting that rhythm right is really important. And then extended family. Say it clearly. Extended family.
Extended family.
Now, another pair that often trips people up, then and then, say it then, again, that short A sound like cat.
Right.
And then, say it then, short A sound like in pen.
Yeah. And those are two, I mean, they're small words, but they're so important because we use them all the time,
Yeah.
when we're comparing things or talking about, the sequence of events. So getting that vowel sound right really makes a big difference.
Yeah, totally. All right, now we have another contrasting set, and these are tricky. Lives and leaves. Lives, say it, lives. Short I sound, like bit, and it ends with a Z sound. Think about it as the plural of life.
Right.
And then leaves, say it, leaves. Long E sound, like in tree, and it ends with a V sound. So they sound so similar, but they mean very different things.
Very.
Right.
Totally.
So pay close attention to both that vowel sound and that final consonant sound. I mean, imagine talking about the leaves of their lives.
Right.
It doesn't quite make sense.
No, it doesn't. And, the context will often help. But clear pronunciation will ensure that there's no confusion right from the start.
Right.
And I think that builds confidence in your speaking.
For sure. Okay, we have a sentence now. You can call me Eugenia. Say it naturally. You can call me Eugenia. Notice the aw sound in call, kind of like you're saying caught. Then a question, do you drink? Say it like you're asking someone, do you drink?
Do you drink?
Often in a question, the stress goes on the main verb like drink, emphasizing that action.
Yeah.
And then we have, are you drinking water? Say that. Are you drinking water?
Are you drinking water?
Here we tend to stress drinking and water,
Right.
like what's happening and what is the drink.
And, that way we stress words in a sentence. It can really change the meaning that we're trying to convey, right?
Yeah.
Like in questions, the important words, they usually get the emphasis. It's almost like a little spotlight on what you're trying to, on what you really want to know.
Totally. Okay. Almost done with the pronunciation section. We have, I just finished working, then just work. I just finished working. So say it. Finished working. Hear that ed sound at the end of finished.
Yeah.
It's clear ed sound. And then work. Say it. Work ends with a K sound.
Right.
And lastly, none of them. Say it clearly. None of them. Again, pronounce those words distinctly. So, I think it's really interesting how Paolo, Eugenia's teacher, is focusing on all these like little sound differences because they really make a big impact.
They do. And it just goes to show that, pronunciation isn't just one big obstacle to overcome. It's about paying attention to all these individual sounds and how they fit together.
Right.
So yeah, by mastering those little pieces, you can really build up to much clearer spoken English.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on from pronunciation to grammar. And we're going to dive into a section here called prepositions. In, on, N, T. These are those little words in English that are so fundamental for getting your grammar right, and using them correctly really makes your sentences sound polished. And actually, in Eugenia's notes, Paolo included an exercise file, which is great for practice. So let's break down the main rules here. At is generally used for very specific times. Think at 3 o'clock, at 8:45. It's like pointing to a precise moment on the clock.
Right. And it's, it's really neat how at with time, it really zeroes in on that specific time.
Yeah.
It's not general. It's very, very specific.
Exactly. And we also use at for things like at sunrise and at sunset, those exact moments when the sun appears and disappears. Now, here's a little quirk, right? We say on the weekend, not at the weekend.
Oh, right.
English has those little exceptions that you just kind of have to pick up as you go.
It does. Language is full of these little surprises.
Right.
But yeah, on the weekend has really become the standard way to say it. I think it's because we're treating weekend as a specific period,
Yeah.
like as a couple of days grouped together.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so now let's look at in. We use in for those broader periods of time.
Okay.
Parts of the day like in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, or months such as in July and December, years like in 2023, or the Renaissance happened in the 15th century, and even centuries like in the 19th century. So in is really for those bigger chunks of time.
It's almost like you're placing something within a container of time. It's a larger time frame that holds the event or the period you're talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we have on.
Okay.
On we use for dates that include the day. So on July 4th, on Christmas Day, or on Monday, August 10th. So it's more specific than just the month or just the year.
Right.
We also use on for the days of the week, even if you mention a part of the day, like on Tuesday or on Friday morning or on Saturday night. And we use on for things that happen regularly on a specific day, like I go grocery shopping on Wednesdays, or the new episodes come out on Fridays.
Yeah. So on seems to be connecting to like a specific point on a calendar,
Yeah.
or specific day. It's more precise than in, but it's less pinpointed than at when we're talking about general times.
Yeah, I like that, like a scale. Okay, so Eugenia's notes also have a section where Paolo compares some expressions, which is really helpful because these are often mixed up. The first one is on time versus in time. So on time means you're not late, you arrived when you were supposed to, but in time means you arrived early enough to do something. So I got to the airport on time means you didn't miss your flight. But I got to the airport in time to grab a coffee means you had those extra few minutes.
That's a really important distinction because on time is all about meeting a schedule. But in time is about having that opportunity to do something within that time frame.
Exactly. And then we have at the end versus in the end. So at the end refers to that very last part of something, for example, at the end of the book. But in the end means eventually or finally, after some time has passed or after considering different options, like in the end, we decided to stay home.
Yeah. So at the end is that finish line of a specific event or a thing.
Yeah.
While in the end
Correct.
refers to, the ultimate result or the outcome after some kind of process has taken place.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, understanding these subtle differences with prepositions can really make your English sound more natural and accurate. And Paolo included those exercises. Practice is definitely the key to getting those rules down.
Absolutely. And I think, language learning isn't just about knowing the rules.
Great.
It's about being able to use them,
Yeah.
automatically and confidently. And those exercises, they give you that crucial practice.
Definitely. Okay, so let's move on to the last part of Eugenia's notes that we're looking at today, and it's about essay writing. So the task here was to describe your family. And this is such a universal topic, right?
It is.
Everyone has a family, whether it's big or small, close or far away.
Yeah, absolutely. And describing your family is just, it's a great way to practice using descriptive words and talking about relationships.
Yeah, and personal connections.
Yeah.
So Eugenia wrote a first draft of her family description, and it's a good first try. Let me read it to you. I have a husband and a daughter. My daughter is 27. The other side of my family, my extended family, they live in Brasilia. My parents and my older sister live in Colorado. My mom is 81. My father is 84. They are from Sao Paulo and Minas Gerais, respectively. My older sister is 1 year older than me. She has one child. My younger sister lives in Lago Norte. She is not married. My brother lives in Guara. He is 2 years older than me. He has 4 children. None of them. I don't talk to any of them.
Yeah. And from that first draft, it's clear that Eugenia, she's got a good grasp of the basic facts about her family.
Yeah.
She's getting the information down.
Yeah.
Which is an important first step in writing.
Totally. So then we have the mistakes and misses section, which is an improved version, after Paolo gave her feedback. And it now reads, most of my extended family lives in Brasilia. My parents and my older sister, however, live in Colorado. My mother is 81 years old and my father is 84. They were born in São Paulo and Minas Gerais, respectively. My older sister is 1 year older than me. She has one son. My younger sister lives in Lago Norte. She is not married. My brother lives in Guara. He is 2 years older than me and has 4 children. I don't have contact with any of them. So we see some really nice changes there.
Yeah, definitely.
For example, instead of that slightly abrupt, my extended family, they live in Brasilia, the revised version flows much better. Most of my extended family lives in Brasilia, and the verb lives now agrees with the plural subject, family, referring to multiple members.
Yeah.
Also saying 81 years old is it's grammatically more complete than just saying 81.
Right.
And you know, that word however that she added is really good because it shows that contrast between where most of her family lives and then where her parents and older sister live.
Yeah.
We also see a change from they are from Sao Paulo and Minas Gerais respectively to they were born in Sao Paulo and Minas Gerais respectively.
Yeah.
You know, because birth is something that happened in the past. And she has one child is now, she has one son, which is more specific.
Yeah, and these refinements are really what make writing clearer and more precise.
Yeah.
It's really about paying attention to those small details in grammar and word choice, you know, just to make sure that your message is conveyed exactly as you intended it.
Exactly. And, you know, reading Eugenia's description makes me think about my own family. I have a pretty big extended family, and we're kind of spread out all over the place. I have cousins in different states and even a few overseas.
Oh, wow.
So it's always kind of, you know, it's always funny when we get together for holidays, you know, because everyone has these like such different lives and stories.
Yeah.
But we share that family connection. It really it shows you how like diverse even a single family can be.
That's so true. Our families really, you know, all their different forms, they really do shape who we are and our perspectives on the world.
Yeah, and I think for Eugenia to write about her family, even mentioning that she doesn't have contact with some of them, shows real honesty, you know?
Yeah.
And real engagement with the topic. And I think that putting your own experiences into words is such a powerful way to really learn and grow with a language.
And Paulo's guidance, you know, in pointing out those areas for improvement, that's invaluable. It really helps you see where you can make your writing, you know, stronger and clearer.
Totally. So as we're bringing this deep dive into Eugenia's English class notes to a close, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From those crucial little sounds and pronunciation to the rules of prepositions and to that process of, you know, taking that first draft and making it even better. All of this is just, it's so important on your English learning journey. And remember, like Eugenia is reviewing these notes just like we reviewed them today, you know? Keeping up with your learning and looking back at things you've learned is a really effective way to build your skills and build your confidence.
It's great to see someone like Eugenia so, you know, so involved in her learning, taking notes and then, you know, reviewing them afterwards. That dedication, it really, it pays off.
Yeah, definitely.
And it brings to mind the motto of Academia BSB, which perfectly captures what we've been talking about today. It's not only about the language, it's all about communication.
Absolutely, it is. It's about connecting with others, making yourself understood, and understanding the world around you. And on that note, we wrap up this deep dive. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep communicating.
Yeah, absolutely.